Denver Broncos had their final press conference of the season, and they brought out the big dog, CEO and owner Greg Penner, to address the media, and we found out a lot. He talked about Bo Nix's recovery, had some interesting news on that one. The new stadium, he's got an update on that. He also has an update on George Paton and Sean Payton's future, and he also has a message to Broncos Country. Stay tuned to the end for that one. Before we dive in, make sure to hit us with a thumbs up, subscribe to this video. We're here all off season for the Broncos, and of course covering all of Colorado sports. Let's dive into it, and it starts with the franchise quarterback, Bo Nix, who of course his season ended in the most disappointing fashion ever after the Broncos win their first playoff game in a decade. Then they lose Bo right after the game, and Greg was with Bo and the medical staff after the game, and he said it was the biggest swing of highs and lows that he's had, because even after the game, they didn't think that Bo Nix's injury was that bad until they found out about the fracture. So the emotions even in that room with the doctors were going everywhere. And Greg was with Bo for that time, and then also continuing to talk to doctors after. And I asked him, does he have any concerns, because Bo has had multiple ankle injuries, and are there any concerns about Bo for the long term with his ankle? And he said, quote, there are zero concerns. His surgery was straightforward and it went really well. So that's good news. George Paton told us that Bo Nix is going to be back right around May, so Bo will not miss any on-field work for the Broncos, which is encouraging. So a good update on Bo Nix. And of course, just like the rest of Broncos Country, Greg Penner was very satisfied with Bo's second season in the NFL, and he expects him to only continue to get better right there. Speaking of getting better, Greg Penner talked about his season review of the Broncos, and the main theme here is the message is we're not satisfied. He said, quote, my main message is we're not satisfied. We have more work to do. Get this, the Broncos just went 14-3, the best record in the NFL, AFC West champs, and they made it to the AFC Championship game and lost their quarterback, and Greg Penner still has higher goals. He's not satisfied. That's the type of ownership group that the Broncos have here in Denver. They are shooting for Super Bowls, and nothing else will suffice for them. He said results on Sunday were disappointing, and as owners, they need to put the bar as high as possible and then hold people accountable if they do not get there. Saying that, he is proud of the players, coaches, and front office, and he specifically said that about Sean Payton, George Paton, and Bo Nix. Said they're all great as well. But the Broncos have big goals next year, according to Greg, and it starts with winning the AFC West. We know Sean Payton's goals: win the AFC West, get the highest seed possible, and then win a world championship. It seems like Greg is on track with those. Speaking of George Paton and Sean Payton, George Paton has 1 year left on his contract. Sean Payton has 2 years left on his contract. So Greg was asked, are you going to give them new contracts right now? And he had an interesting quote. He said, we'd love to have both of them here long term. And that's pretty self-explanatory, because these guys have had a lot of success since they've been together in Sean Payton's 3 years with the Broncos. But he did say we're going to keep those contract talks private. That probably will leak at some point over the next couple of months before training camp. Typically, a successful general manager does not go into the final year of his deal without a new contract, and George Paton's about to be entering the final year of his deal. And with Sean Payton, why they might extend him right now as well is because typically some organizations like to pair up their head coach and their general manager to have the same length of contract. So we'll see if that gets done, but it does seem clear that that will get done. It's just a matter of when, not if. One more time, hit us with the thumbs up, subscribe to this video. We really appreciate you rocking and rolling with us throughout this entire season, which was a blast, and then into this exciting off season. And speaking of the off season, the Broncos are going to be willing to spend money this off season. They're going to be willing to be aggressive as well in free agency. Now, Greg is the richest owner in the NFL, but he's not just going to blow cash to make it seem like they're doing something. He said, quote, we'll be opportunistically aggressive. So when the right player is there, they will spend money, and the Broncos have shown that they are very willing to spend money. Sean Payton's first year here, they went out and signed some big-time players, gave out a huge contract to Mike McGlinchey, a huge contract to Ben Powers. Last year, they did the same. They gave a huge contract out to Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Evan Ingram, and then later signed J.K. Dobbins as well. So I expect big moves to be made. Broncos have the 12th most cap space, and they have an owner that is willing to spend. And also, they will have a lot more money because Russell Wilson's dead cap is off the books. $85 million the Broncos had to eat in dead cap over the past 2 years. Greg Penner was asked about that, and he said he is pleased with how the team handled Russell Wilson's dead cap, and he was really pleased with not only the results, but the process, because he said that no one in the building used it and as an excuse. Sean Payton made that very clear that they were not going to let that be an excuse for the team, and look what they did with that $85 million in dead cap. First year made the playoffs, 10-7 record. Next year, 14-3 made to the AFC Championship game, and now the Broncos don't have any of that dead cap, so more resources to use. Next up, we got a stadium update. Of course, the Broncos are going to be building a new world-class stadium in Burnham Yard, and right now in the process, Greg Penner said they're still in preliminary designs, working with architectures, and that's going well right now. So preliminary stage of that, but at some point in this year, I expect them to have designs released so we all know what it's going to look like. They're looking at many options for retractable roofs right now. We know that they want to have that retractable roof, but there are NFL guidelines on what the retractable roofs are like and then when they have to be open versus closed. So it won't all be up to the Broncos on if there's a snow game, if it's going to be open or closed. But he did say, Greg Penner said for this past weekend's game in the AFC Championship game, that the roof probably would have been closed. He says, I don't know if it would have impacted the outcome, but really it's about fans, making them comfortable is what he said. So the roof this past weekend would have been closed. The Broncos have won. Probably would have had a better shot, but they're not going to have that roof until 2031. And finally, a message from Greg Penner to Broncos Country. Before I hit that, hit us with a thumbs up, subscribe. Really appreciate your support. Turn on alerts because we do emergency shows and give you the breaking news when it happens. And right now, the Broncos are in a coaching search right now for an offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, and also a cornerbacks coach. And we're following Davis Webb and potentially Vance Joseph leaving as well. So make sure to stay tuned with us all offseason. Really appreciate your support. And speaking of your support, Greg Penner wants to thank you, Broncos Country. He said, Broncos Country, a huge thank you. We reestablished this year being one of the best home field advantages in the entire NFL. The crowd was fantastic. He gave a big thank you to Broncos Country, and everything that they're trying to do is for the fans, to give back to them. That's why they're not going to settle for anything but a Super Bowl. Make sure to stay tuned to this channel for your most up-to-date Broncos news for the rest of the year.